they do evil, no one make person talk. Them say that Mayegun, that man too they talk. He too they talk. Say Mayegun diary, he dey hot like pepper. But every day, then they take money in bulk. Woman pikin, they the street, they hawk. Still them talk say, make we no talk. But thank God say, Mayegun don't come. So my people make you laugh. Oh, yo, yo, Mayegun don't come. Oh, yo, yo. My people make you shout. Oh, yo, yo, Mayegun don't come. Oh, yo, yo. Mayegun don't come, man of the masses. Oh, yo, yo, Mayegun don't come. Oh, yo, yo. Mayegun diary politico. Oh, yo, yo. Mayegun don't come. Oh, yo, yo. This man not dey off in mind. Oh, yo, yo.
Hello there.
Mayegun làwa mọ̀ làmọ̀ tó dòdòdò.
Mayegun diary, Mayegun number 1.
Good morning to you, good afternoon to you, and good evening to you from wherever you are watching from. This is Mayegun live. Kindly let me know if the audio is perfect or not.
Lórí Facebook, lórí YouTube.
Mayegun diary, Mayegun number 1.
Gbogbo bó ṣe ń lọ ni Mayegun já wa sí.
Mayegun diary, Mayegun number 1.
Àṣírí ọ̀jẹ̀lú kì í bò níbẹ̀ o.
Now share the broadcast. Invite your friends. Invite your not so friendly friends. I've brought to you another interesting night. And I promise you, I am going to pay attention to the audio this time. So please share this broadcast. Invite your friends. Invite your not so friendly friends. And tell them that Mayegun today.
Godfatherism kò sí lọ́rọ̀ Mayegun.
Mayegun diary, Mayegun number 1.
Ẹ farabalẹ̀ sẹ́ o kẹgọ́rọ̀ lẹ́nu o.
Mayegun diary, Mayegun.
It is no longer them say, then talk, then don't, and the rest of that. Yesterday, which happened to be the deadline, we received the reports, and I have the report here with me. The presidential election petition of Peter Obi was submitted to the tribunal yesterday. But that is actually not the crux of the matter. It is the content of that petition. Bege is about to happen. Share this broadcast.
Lórí YouTube,
Mayegun today,
àní ẹ̀sùn láìpẹ́.
Mayegun today,
Wọ́n bàbá gbé wúrẹ́.
Mayegun mami,
Àní ẹ̀sùn láìpẹ́.
Mayegun today.
Tonight, I am also going to take you through a trip of demystifying some lies that has become a generation lie or generational lies about Nigeria, especially about the Igbo people of the eastern extraction of Nigeria. Please share this broadcast.
Aṣòfin tí ń rúfin o.
Mayegun mami,
Àní ẹ̀sùn láìpẹ́.
Mayegun today,
Òkúra olóṣèlú.
Mayegun mami,
Àní ẹ̀sùn láìpẹ́.
Mayegun today,
Ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Mayegun today,
Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Mayegun today.
Mayegun ti dé.
Thank you so much for joining me tonight. This platform, the diary, that keeps the record of happenings in Nigeria. And that is why it is always, Mayegun's content are always dated. If you search for any historical, political happenings in Nigeria, as you are reading about them, Mayegun's diary political analyzes them and makes it so simple for the people, you and myself, to understand how deeper the actions of the Nigeria politicians hurt us. how much of deceit that is packaged for us as one Nigeria. That's what I do. Because to me, the primary problem of Nigeria is injustice. Whether injustice is small, whether it is big, whether the injustice is against individual or it is against an entire ethnic group, it is the same, right? To me, an injustice to one is an injustice to all. An injustice anywhere is an injustice everywhere. That is my own theory, right? Humanity comes first. And Nigeria politicians have taught me, as young as I am, they have taught me, right, to what? To look before I leap. To never play into their hands when they begin to play their usual cards. Religion, tribe, ethnic, class, and so many other useless and divisive tactics that they've been using. So I chose, right, to share my own understanding of the criminals ruling Nigeria, who actually don't have any respect for tribe, ethnic, region, or religion, anyone. All they care about is themselves. That is why in their caucus, in their level, they don't treat themselves as Igbo, Yoruba, Hausa, this or that. No. But they will continue to remind you that you must uphold that, right? So that to keep you divided. You know that? So understanding this will first give you first give you the clearer picture, or let's say an insight into how the Nigeria politicians, the Nigeria establishment, when we say establishment, that is beyond government now, right? It includes all the elites. It includes all the religious houses, all of them working in cahoots to ensure that whatever is the agenda of the establishment in all over you, control, right, is adhered to 100%. So when you begin to understand this, you are likely going to disagree like myself. A lot of people disagree. Some takes it to the extreme. They've disconnected themselves with Nigeria totally. And it's like the number is increasing every day. Who are those making that happen? The criminal politicians in Nigeria. So if you join Mayegun's Diary Political on this platform, okay, we do more than talk about what is going on in Nigeria. We delve into helping those we considered as vulnerable among the victims of the bad leadership in Nigeria, especially in Yoruba land. On this platform, I'll show you something. This is for those of you who are just joining, okay? On this platform, right? Not only just taking the criminals in Nigeria to task and breaking the chain of division, which is their own ultimate power. They've had it all over us many times. When they started the propaganda of Igbo, go back, Igbo should go back, this or that, right? And everything that follow on this platform, you see Igbo, Yoruba, Hausa, Ijo, Shekiri, Fula, everyone here. In a way, they were like kind of prepared mentally. And that is why some of you who just joined Mayegun's Diary Political, you might meet some people here, the way they react to what is going on in Nigeria, to the way you are reacting. It's not because they are insensitive. It is because they have somehow over the years, they have been mentally prepared by understanding everything about these criminals without having to believe anything that comes out of their mouth. So this is a mixture now, especially for those of you who just joined us, okay? So talking about taking it beyond talking about the problems, also going out there to help, right? Take a look at this. People on this platform made this happen for young children, for children, school children in Yoruba land, right? Who are among the most affected by the impoverishment of the people of Nigeria. They don't talk much about them. When their parents become poor, the children suffers more. Their education suffers more. Their nutrition suffers more, right? including their safety. They become vulnerable to those who can take advantage of them, including sexually assault and harass them. Nobody talks much about them. But guess what? This is where the breeding ground for the Agberos you are witnessing in Yoruba today. This is the breeding ground. It's never been this bad. But Agberoism in Yoruba land today is becoming a thing of pride to young people who have been denied proper education. So this platform didn't just talk about that. We went all out to reach out to over 10,000 school children across Yoruba land, give them support educationally, including paying their school fees, uniform, sandals, just to be there to understand how bad Nigeria has happened to us as a people. And if there's any reason to say Yoruba Shuronu, I think this should be your reason to Ronu. And the people who actually did this to us, they are the people who are telling us to be so scared of non-Yorubas, especially Igbos. Look at our children. But like I said, concerned Yorubas and non-Yorubas on Mayegun's Diary Political. That's how good we are here. Yorubas, non-Yorubas. I can tell you this because I have all the data. Yorubas and non-Yorubas they put together millions of naira to help the victims of bad governance in Yoruba land. So if you're asking us what right do we have to want this old hegemony, this old establishment to crumble and get destroyed, well, this is one of the reasons. Just before we get started fully today, introduction to what else we do on Mayegun's Diary Political. This is the Back to School project of the Yoruba Union on this platform. Thank you very much. I will show you more of this. In fact, we will talk more about this, more on this in the coming days. However, let's get down to the business of today. I bet you have read the caption, Abi, the description as well. Have you liked the broadcast, if I may ask? Shared it? If you have done all of that, thank you. Now you can sit back and relax, and we can talk. The legal battle that Obi promised. Hang on. How is the audio before I continue? Because I don't really want to get started, because it's like once I get started, I'm not really scripted. You know what I mean? So I can't really take it back fully. So let me know if the audio is pretty much great. So beautiful. The caption says that Obi has approached the court as he was told to. And he is requesting for 5 prayers from the court. Among the prayers are that Tinubu, number 1, violated the electoral law by presenting forged educational certificates. So he will need to prove that. The Chicago University that he said he went, Aroloya Grammar School that he said he went. So now they couldn't find the Aroloya because the school doesn't exist. But Chicago University exists. Okay? But there is something from that. The Bola Tinubu that is registered with as a student at the Chicago University was a girl, not a boy. So all this complicated stuff, right? The Chicago University has accepted, according to OBO, they've accepted to be a witness to say Kolu didn't come to their school. No. The second one is the conviction of Tinubu as heroin trafficker in America. Now, you know, this has been making news here and there. Great. It's nothing. Nigeria, DSS, Nigeria Security, and the Nigerian court couldn't stop him. So who's going to stop him now? Maybe nobody, Abi. But for your information, the DEA that investigated and make deal with Tinubu on his heroin deal and trafficking in America, as well as the FBI, the agent that worked on his heroin case and money laundering in America, they have also accepted to be witness. Somebody said they don't have jurisdiction. But don't worry. It doesn't matter. Don't worry. You will know whether witnesses can be called, subpoenaed, locally or internationally. You're about to find out. Okay? So some people are now saying that, it be like say, Obi won't make, bringing America into it, the heroin deal in America and the rest of that, simply means international media will be interested in what is going on or what is being revealed in your court. That is number 1 prayer. Number 2 prayer is that of the shitty man, Boko Haram sympathizer. There is more about his own record too. So they want both of them disqualified. Number 1 prayer. Among the prayers is that, that's number 2 rather, number 2 prayer. Number 3 prayer is that Tinubu no score 8 million votes. They should call INEC to come and explain. Shall you get? Which would then have to force INEC to present evidence of 8.7 million they announced for Kolu. Obi said they have their own results. Despite all of the violence and all of, they have their results. That if the court will compare both, they should declare him the winner. Do you get that? That they should declare him the winner of the candidate that scored the majority of the valid votes. He now said, considering 1 and 2, Tinubu's questionable education, his drug dealing background, both of them that violate your electoral acts in Nigeria, should get both of them disqualified. And if he, as the winner, is seen not to have scored enough satisfactory votes according to the courts, then they should cancel the entire election and order for a new election where Tinubu and the shitty man, they will never be part of that election. These are the demands. You want me to show you? Take a look. Right? This is Peter Obi's election petition. If you want the link, I'm going to do something, right? You can take your time to read it. I know a lot of you have opinions right now about what will happen or what can happen. But I can tell you this free of charge. APC, Egbekegbe, they are not happy. They are jittery. This is an exposure. Do you get that? They would have to bring everybody to come and swear to an affidavit. They would have to come and swear in court in anything they want to say in defense of Tinubu. Now, the American government, through their own embassy in Nigeria, they've condemned both presidential and governorship elections. And according to them, they are more interested in the court case now. Sure you get? And why that is going on, everyone that participated in the violence, the rigging and the rest, you know, they talk about Nigeria as if to say they love Nigeria. Their families don't live in Nigeria. Sure you get? Every little opportunity they get, they move their families out of Nigeria so that they can come back there as a graveyard where they come to like vultures to look for the carcass of dead bodies, like your dead bodies. Then once they have what they want to get, they take them out, they go out there to go and refresh, and they come back again as scavengers as they are. Sure you get? So when they begin to have problems, visiting their loot, especially their families. Now this will begin to have its own effect on them, not because they will change. It's not because you want them to change. Sure you get now. It is because they have to feel or have a taste of their own poison. So what this means is that this is different. Town hall is different. You know that? Now, petition, presidential petition is different from Bulaba and Balabulu. Because the first response of APC, Egbekegbe, mind you, this is unofficial. It's not confirmed, right? There is a rumor that Tinubu is not well as we speak. Not well means that with an excuse of the campaign is taking a toll on him. So they want him to have bed rest. Taking him abroad is going to raise a huge suspicion. Sure you get? And it's also going to open window for different, what do you call it, suspicion and all that. Sure you get? So they don't want to take him abroad yet. Now, Obi don't launch court case. They have recommended bed rest for Kolu. Sure you get now. So the same way they were popping him up left, right, and center for the past 8 months or so, so they might be bringing him out once in a while, like, you know, like a deity. Now, Obi stated, I don't want to be reading all of this. I've shared the, let me see if I've shared the link. So please, I'll share the link in the comments. Save the link and you can read it. You can read the whole petition later. But this is the full copy. Everything stated. Sure you get. According to INEC, the obedient were able to win in 12 states and FCT, making it a 13. Tinubu won in 12 states, according to INEC. Atiku won in 12 states, according to INEC. So INEC itself is on trial for violating its own law, the law that they used in defrauding Nigerians and the rest of the world, that they were going to conduct an election. Okay, these are the prayers. Let me go on back. I've shared the link. If you are watching on if you are watching on YouTube or Facebook, just check the comments. Okay, I have shared the link, and I will try to reshare it again for those who are watching live and asking. Sure, you get that. So these are the prayers. The petitioners therefore seek the following relief from this honorable court. 1. They first pray as follows: that it be determined that at the time of the presidential election held on the 25th of February 2023, the second and third respondents were not qualified to contest election. That it be determined that all the votes recorded for the second respondent in the election are wasted votes, owing to the non-qualification and disqualification of second and third respondents. 3. That it be determined that on the basis of the remaining votes, after discontinuing the vote accredited to the second respondent, Tinubu, and first petitioner scored a majority of the lawful votes cast at the election and had not less than 25% of the votes cast in each of at least 2/3 of the states of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, and satisfied the constitutional requirements to be declared the winner of the 25th February 2023 presidential election. Now, 2, that it be determined that the second respondent, Tinubu, having failed to score 1/4 of the vote cast at the presidential election in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, was not entitled to be declared and returned as the winner of the presidential election held on the 25th of February 2023. In the alternative to 2 above, an order cancelling the election and compelling the first respondent, INEC, to conduct a fresh election at which the second and third and fourth respondents shall not participate. Right? Then in the alternative to 1, 2, and 3 above, that it may be determined that the second respondent, Tinubu, was not duly elected by a majority of lawful votes cast in the election for the office of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria held on 25th February 2023, and therefore the declaration and return of the second respondent, Tinubu, as the winner of the presidential election are unlawful, unconstitutional, and of no effect whatsoever. So, 2, that it be determined that based on the valid votes cast at the presidential election of 25th February 2023, the first petitioner, Peter Obi, scored the highest number of votes cast at the election and not less than 1/4 of the votes cast at the election in each of at least 2/3 of all the states in the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, and ought to be declared and returned as the winner of the presidential election. And 3, in part, an order directing the first respondent, INEC, to issue the certificate of return to the first petitioner, Peter Obi, as the duly elected president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And 4, that it be determined that the certificate of return wrongly issued to the second respondent, Tinubu, by the first respondent, INEC, is null and void and be set aside. Also, in the further alternative to 1, 2, 3, and 4 prayers above, 5 and 1, that the presidential election conducted on 25th February 2023 is void on the ground that the election was not conducted substantially in accordance with the provisions of the Electoral Act 2022 and Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 as amended. So part 2 of the 5th prayer in their further alternative, an order cancelling the presidential election conducted on 25th February 2023 and mandating the first respondents, INEC, to conduct a fresh election for the office of the president, the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And these are the lawyers: Dr. Onyechi Ikpeazu, PIN Ekweto, Chief Ben Anachebe, Sebastian Ono, I don't know. And, that's the list. Dayo Ashonebare, Unamdi Awa Kalu. Yeah, I have shared the link there with you, and I indulge you to go take a look and read. It's quite detailed. So the first respondent, INEC, has been served. The second respondent, which is number 26, Bodilon Road, Ikoyi, Tifnumbu. The third respondent, which is Kashim Shetima, New GRA, Maiduguri, Borno State. The fourth respondent, APC National Headquarters, Adetokunbo Ademola Crescent, Wuse 2, Abuja. So this is the petition that is going to be the talk and the fear of what the APC, Egbekegbe, are going to unleash their propaganda on. Talking about propaganda. Their propaganda of wanting to rule over a country by rigging and then violence, and then telling the Igbos to go back to Eastern Nigeria. I have something to share with you tonight. My advice for the Igbo businessmen and women outside Igbo land, not just Yoruba land, outside Igbo land generally, there's been a long-held myth. You cannot survive in Eastern Nigeria. That is why you have to leave your land and go everywhere all over the place. A lot of you know this is a myth. But with what happened in Lagos 2 days ago, okay, it is something that you should demystify. I will lead the charge in this regard to let you know that the Eastern region is not landlocked. Here you get. And there is nowhere you are that the demand, if you are needed, they will find you. A lot of you today are international businessmen and women, from Okrika, from Oka straight to Taipei in Taiwan or what have you, where you are actually going there with prototype of something, an idea. You produce them and you bring them back to Nigeria and you turn them to money. So China is very far. Aba is not far. You just have to make the whole world see Aba as your China. And you don't have to do it right away. And mind you, Lagos and the politics of Lagos that has become a blight on the good image of the Yoruba people in Nigeria and all over the world. Historically, that Lagos that is telling you to go back to where you come from, other places in Yoruba land will gladly take you. Ask the Igbos, the Southeasterners who are doing their businesses in other part of Yoruba land. Ask them, what are the reception like? Let's ask our own brothers and sisters who have made their fortune from working in the eastern part of Nigeria. Who are those who dominate the oil industry, or should I say, the oil industry and everything associated with it in eastern part of Nigeria, including the Niger Delta? You will be shocked that they say when you throw a stone into the market, be guaranteed that there is possibility it will hit somebody from your homestead. But before I do that, right, somebody has something to say, and he has to be the deputy to Obi. According to him, right now in Nigeria, there is no there's no president-elect. And this worries Kalu. According to his presidential campaign council, the ones that have been bleating, shouting, screaming, and then raising tribal ethnic tension, that said that they can never apologize, the Igbos should stay away. The people are reacting. Guess what they are now saying? They said Tinubu, just like Buhari, that you will never hear from him directly. You will be hearing from the Presidiosi. The Presidiosi are the likes, the one that is the Presidiosi is Garbage Shehu. You know Garbage Shehu? Sorry if you are new. That's Garbage Shehu, okay? But for a long time, the veterans on this platform knows when I say Garbage Shehu, I'm referring to Garbage Shehu. Sorry. And then, when I say Femi Okuno Adeshina, you know why I'm referring to, yeah? So these two are the Presidiosi. They are those who speak to you when Bukwari became deaf and dumb. You don't see him. Sure you get. Now, they are already, I told you that this is going to be Buhari Pro Max. Yeah? So, from their camp where they have been threatening fire and brimstones, you know what they have done now? They now said, Tinubu said, is personally pained. I am pained by the recent developments where people are being profiled and they are being attacked. The election is over. Let the healing start. Omo, if you believe them at your own peril. These guys are evil, dark-minded, and they are dark dots, on our supposed silver line in a cloud. I will let this guy explain to you their present state on the Obi's legal case. Let's start with that. And the credit for this video goes straight to the Arise News. We are just using a fraction from what the interview we had with them. And we indeed say thank you for this piece. So yeah, let's listen. So that's Baba made.
Insane, but you asked the question. Some gentleman forfeited $460,000 in order not to go to prison. And now is a president-elect somewhere having assaulted the Constitution. Well, yes, we will put it in our petition.
Well, it is in your petition.
It is.
I mean, I saw
like
the,
I told you, we never expected them
right.
to behave the way they did, so we will hit them where they don't expect to be hit.
What if you go all the way to the Supreme Court and your case is thrown out? What then?
We are mortal beings. We are ordinary citizens. We never claim to be high and mighty. It has happened before. We just take it. Remember, Nigerians contested through Peter Obi and me. It is not Peter Obi and me contesting, it is Nigerians. So, Nigerians' obedience, we did our best. They are more powerful than us. Nigeria is a speck of dust. The whole world is a speck of dust. Nigeria is a stain on that speck of dust in Almighty God's creations. God will do with Nigeria what he feels like. Put it in the hand of drug lords, put it in the hand of murderers, put it in the hand of businessmen, educationists. God Almighty will decide that. So I am not bothered. Let Supreme Court decide. What I'll continue to do is to come back to tell you that the incoming government of Alhaji Tinubu and Malam Shetima, from our own mortal understanding of Section 134, is going to be an unconstitutional government. Swearing in that government is as good as swearing in the Nigerian army. I'm not a careless talker. Before I came here, I did my research, I did my homework, I did my prayers. And I know what I'm saying, I repeat. Swearing in Alhaji Tinubu and Malam Shetima is as good as swearing in another, because they are both unconstitutional. You have assaulted, you have violated Section 134. It was not in the place of Professor Yakubu, 4 a.m. to go and declare and interpret what clearly the Constitution, which is not a puzzle,
Right.
it's
What
a
about
working document.
Right.
I keep saying that.
What about the process of this election? Because that's something that's contained in your petition as well. The Electoral Commission, INEC, has acknowledged that there were major technical hitches which affected the upload of the election results on its server, but they're not admitting to guilt or wrongdoing. That's just technical hitches. I mean, how are you approaching that?
I told you we do share responsibilities. And we are leaving what you're asking me to those who are exceptionally versed.
Right. The lawyers, basically.
The lawyers. And I am taking, for example, this angle of constitutionality. And at this point, maybe I should let you know that something called the Constitutional Crisis Resolution Group may soon come up with a simple, noble, principal objective of preventing the coming into effect of an unconstitutional government in Nigeria. Do you understand? We separate responsibilities.
Yes, but of
and
course,
I have taken my own.
it doesn't matter whatever constitutional group does. I mean, it's up to the courts now to make a decision.
When you finish listening to what this group will do, then you will understand that everything rests on the court.
Right.
Because everything rests on the Constitution. We're saying the same thing. I keep telling you that the entire nation is a nation because we have a constitution.
Yeah, but everything...
Which must not be abused.
No, I understand that, but everything rests on the interpretation of that constitution by the courts.
This is where I've got you. Charles, Section 134 stands interpreted. I repeat, it stands interpreted.
Well, I've seen suggestions to that effect, but I think we need a reinterpretation in the courts.
Listen, go to the ends of this world and come back. The truth is the truth. The meaning of each can never change. The meaning of and can never change. Two people are sitting on this table, Charles Anyagolu and one guy from Labour Party. So you can never, ever change that. And that is why I have told you, the wisdom, which is higher intellect plus experience of their lordships, when eventually they make that ruling, which we will, I commit to accept their ruling today. Even though I don't believe in them, I and Peter will be committed to accepting their ruling.
Well, you don't have a choice. I mean, if that's what they decide,
exactly.
you don't have any other. That's the final.
They are our
decision.
world. They are our world. They are our life.
But
listen.
Yeah.
I've told you. By the time they decide it, you and I will understand whatever they understand. Those people who wrote the Constitution are people like you and I. They speak the same English you and I wrote the GCE O levels for. And I dare to tell you again that Section 134 and all other allied and related sections are already interpreted. They are to be followed. They are not a puzzle, I keep telling you, for anybody to play with.
Well, we'll have to again wait and see.
The Nigerian
what the courts
Constitution
decide.
has been violated by INEC.
Right. But the decision...
The Nigerian Constitution has been violated by one reckless chairman
You've made that
of
point
INEC.
emphatically.
I have, and
I
this
want
has
ask
to
you
be.
this in
This
the
is what
last-
Nigeria is about now.
Right. I want to ask you this in the last minute that
Yes.
we've got.
Yes.
The decision of the tribunal, which should come within 180 days,
Yes.
is of course not final, and this could go, as we said, all the way to the Supreme Court for a conclusive verdict. So it could take upwards of a year, perhaps even longer. But you say you've got the stomach for that.
We do. We do have a stomach. We do have the attitude for, in fact, ensuring, most of all, which is exactly why I'm here today, that an unconstitutional government must never be sworn in. Tinubu Shetima must never ever be sworn in because of the violation of the Constitution. So we're not talking of 1 year. We're talking of before 29th of May. It's either they go and create 6% out of thin air, and we said, you people have the power. Go ahead and swear in. I'm happier, really, that they can rig again after the election, after the results, and add 6%. Really, I'm happier than for them to go and swear in this president who, by clear definition, clear interpretation, whatever you call it, go and come back, section 134 has been breached. Nigerian constitution has...
And that is the problem of APC. Egbekegbe. The confidence at which Obi and his vice are talking are so convincing, plus what everybody witnessed in this charade called election that has caused so much division, that every time people look at Tinubu, they just see a thief. And to the Tinubu's camp, in this whole thing has delegitimized Tinubu's supposed victory. They were supposed to be basking in the euphoria of this, what life is going to be, presidential life and all that stuff. But they can't. And if they are, they can't show it. And that's not the way it used to be. After 1 year campaign, rigorous campaign, battle here and there, you are declared the winner and you can't celebrate. Simply because these guys they continue to convince the people that they didn't win. And people are seeing them as thieves. They are calling the international communities not to recognize them as a legitimate government. That is huge. It's huge. More than say, they win with the go court. The European Union had this to say. Again, the credit for this video, this clip, goes to the Arise News. Please. Thank you.
Our preliminary statement concluded that there had been a lot of obstruction of the will of the people in the governorship and state assembly elections that took place on Saturday. Nevertheless, we also were able to record on a more positive note that civil society organizations have really been working hard to try to defend democratic standards here in Nigeria, and I think some credit is due there. I think the two things that I take away particularly is on the security front, it was extremely negative on Saturday, and it clearly discouraged some people from exercising their democratic right to make a choice, disenfranchise them. But also on the transparency side, there was some improvements in the performance of the election day process, the opening of the ballots, the polling units were on time for most of the time, and also the uploading of results onto the results viewing platform was done in real time as had been promised. So it was a mixed bag, but the overall voter participation on Saturday was extremely low and unfortunately doesn't tell a very happy tale.
Indeed, when you said there were some improvements in transparency of the process, from your observation, where are the areas that were lagging? Where could those other improvements could have happened?
Yeah, well, I think most of the problems occurred during the presidential election, where polling units opened very late, where distribution of sensitive election material took place in a fairly haphazard way. where the uploading of results onto iRev were very tardy, and as late as 10 p.m. on that day there were still no results uploaded. And as we all were led to believe, this would be a great game changer where real-time information would be available, and that wasn't the case. And then there were major problems in collation centres. In some cases collation centres weren't open, and to go back a little bit to BVAT, sometimes they weren't operated properly by polling officers. So they were the main issues around transparency, and clearly because that didn't operate very well on the 25th of February, it discouraged a lot of people from voting, because they came to the conclusion that their vote didn't matter. And that's a really bad situation to be in, because already you have a low voter participation, now compounded by a lack of faith in the integrity of the overall process. So we tried to draw attention to that in the preliminary statement which we made this afternoon.
Right, so your sense then is that there were lots of small fire outbreaks, if you like, in this governorship election that had to be put out one by one, and you think the authorities managed to keep a handle on it and it didn't become an inferno. But you've said that your group's mission in Nigeria is to strengthen democracy. Do you think the election met the standard for strengthening democracy based on criteria that are internationally acceptable?
Well, first of all, to draw that conclusion, it would require us to compare it to previous elections. And that's not something we do. So this is a fresh mandate, where this mission looks at this election and this election alone. And at the end of our process, which is coming in June, we'll publish a final report which will contain conclusions and recommendations. And it's in that report that you will find the type of conclusions I think that you're referring to. But it is impossible to ignore the deficits that have occurred during the course of this overall general election, including the presidential. And it is difficult as well to point to progress being made in terms of the democratic story of Nigeria. So it's premature for us to draw those conclusions. Today's preliminary statement is based on what we observed so far, and as I said, our long-term observation.
And yada, 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 yada. You know, Ibo, he won't want Nigeria to quote him that they took a stand on this. So that's why they always call their reports preliminary. They will go back to their country before they give the conclusive reports. Sure you get. So talking about going to courts, even before the rigging, we have said it that once they rig you, the process of elections in Nigeria is like war, and they are like in stages, okay? So the first one, you stand that you want to contest an election. And then they will give you the rules. You are going to be rigged. When you are rigged, they will tell you to go to court. Go to court. But when you get to court, you will realize that they also control the court and the judges, tribunal and everywhere. So it depends on how much you can bribe your way and the rest. So after you go to court, on technicality, even when you prove your case, on technicality, they can throw it out. And then if you decide to go out and protest, they can then unleash their terror on you. These are the stages of participating in Nigeria elections. So if you then somehow pull the crowd, face the system, people will die. They will kill people. Yeah? And they will do everything to still make sure that it doesn't happen. But if you have to tell a story of facing them and then defeating them in any of their political whatever, it's always a very sad tale to tell for people who dare them. That is Nigeria politics. But you see this Obi, he faced them. He changed the electoral calendar and cycle in Nigeria. The reason why you have a different election cycles in Nigeria today, where some states are having different dates for their own governorship election. Now this Peter Obi, And he did so when the Uba brothers, who were controlling Anambra at the time, thugs and all that, with the federal power. Obi, a trader, said he wanted to be governor. They were laughing at him. It was rigged out. They were laughing at him. Ngige, that inherited or benefited from that rigging then, he was governor after maybe about 6 months. They kidnapped him, the Uba brothers, just to tell you how powerful those criminals were. Andy and Chris. This trader, Obi, faced them. And when he finally defeated them, crushed them, and all of that, he changed the electoral calendar of Nigeria. Usually, all states in Nigeria, they do election the same time, governorship election, presidential election. It was this Obi that changed the whole thing. Opened the way. And others benefited. Others like Adams Oshiomhole of Edo. People like Kayode Fayemi. The likes of Aregbemugu Baba Kabiru of Osun, who benefited from that. So maybe this is going to be your first time of seeing presidential election upturned, and you'll be like, so that is why APC unleash or about to unleash the second or third stage of their propaganda. Igbos go back home. Igbos this, Igbos that. Is going to be what I'm going to say next. We're talking about courts. Pastor Ruga once said how Tinubu encouraged them to follow the footstep of Peter Obi, to go and reclaim all of their stolen mandates in the states that PDP robbed them. This one is way back, but this is a reminder, a flashback. Please listen.
In 2007, when our party, then the ACA, was rigged out of elections in Osun, in Ekiti, in Ondo, and in Edo State, I was asked, he invited me to his residence, as Ashiwaju invited me to his residence at Bodilon. And he said to me, the only way by which we can possibly reclaim the states that have been taken away from us by this rigging is going through the courts. And he said to me that the only way is by proving that there was multiple voting. In other words, proving that a few people simply thumbprinted ballot papers, dumped the ballot papers into ballot boxes, and they were counted in favor of the opposition, then of course the PDP. He then said to me that the only way we can do this is by somehow, he says, I don't know how you are going to do it, but somehow proving by forensic evidence that this is exactly what happened. I said to him, I said, Ashiwaju, look, nobody has ever proved an electoral case, an electoral petition by forensic evidence. There's just no history of it. He said, and I said, what is even more? We have over a million ballot papers. If we consider all of the ballot papers in each of these states, there are over a million, or in fact at the time there were about 1.3 million ballot papers, putting together all the states. And how can we prove multiple voting? He said, I've told you what my own view is. You just go and look for a way of sorting this out. So I went to the UK and met with possibly the most experienced fingerprint expert in the entire United Kingdom, a gentleman called Adrian Forty, introduced to me by some of the QCs who I'd worked with in the UK.
But we discovered that our friends in that other political party were able to cast their votes in 5 seconds, because all they were doing was simply thumbprinting. They just simply take out a booklet and thumbprint as many as possible. So we were able to demonstrate all of that in court. Cut a long story short, one by one, we were able to get back the states that had been taken away from us.
why he didn't